Whoa. That was quick. It's the 9th of July, 2019. We're in Levittown, Pennsylvania, in the Holly Hill section. This home was just recently renovated so that it could be made ready for sale. The real estate agent, I will give her information down in the comment section, down in the bottom section here. She is fantastic. This house never even made it to market, and she already has it sold. So if you're in the Bristol, Pennsylvania area, all of Bucks County, all the way down to the beaches of Jersey, this woman will definitely help you out. She's a fantastic real estate lady, and she is a dear friend of mine now. We're going to be tiling the backsplash in this kitchen today, and as you can see, it's not a very big kitchen, but it's got all new countertops, all new cabinets, under cabinet lighting, the whole works. So I'm going to turn a few lights on here and there throughout the video. I'm going to give you different camera angles, so you'll get to see close-ups, you'll get to see things from a different vantage point, and things of that nature. And I'm going to show you how to do it from step one all the way to the end in grouting it and cleaning up and how to protect your surfaces. So let's get to it right after this. It's essential that you visit your circuit breaker panel and turn off all power to all switches and receptacles before removing the cover plates. There is a great risk of electrical shock if you do not do so. Move any appliances that are in your way. Do not take down your over-the-counter microwave oven. Yeah, it's a little off, isn't it? Brand new cabinets, brand new countertops, and no, I did not install them. I am only responsible for the backsplash in this house. But what I'm doing here is I'm drawing a level line on the wall, and I'm going to have my tile follow that line. The gap at the bottom of the tile will increase slightly as I move to the right, but that'll be mostly hidden by the silicone when we're done. Subway tile like this that's on a mesh backing allows you to install 18 individual tiles all at the same time. You need to make a starter strip, so what you're going to do is use your square and cut off the 3 tiles on either side that protrude past. This way, it can go flush up against the wall to the left of the stove opening. Make sure when you're using mesh tile that each tile is lined up properly. Now, this particular tile saw has a sliding table, which makes cutting this tile very easy. If you have to push your tile through the blade and do not have a sliding table, there's a good chance that tile that's on a mesh is going to twist and you're not going to get a straight cut. You might want to either rent a tile saw that has a sliding table or stick with tile that's not on a mesh backing. Alright, so the end we cut here, this flat end, you're going to push up against the wall. That's going to give you a starting location and show where that tile is going to end. So you pull it up onto the wall and you mark one of the protruding tiles so you know exactly where that tile is going to end on the wall. Then you take a full tile and you line it up with that line, but a little bit to the right of it, making room for the grout line. And you mark the wall where that tile is going to end. You do this across the whole wall so you can see what you end up with at the end. If you end up with less than a half a tile,
then take more off your starter piece before you adhere it to the wall. This way, your tiles look like they run around the corner of the room, and you don't have little slivers on the end. Fortunately, not only does this tile end where a full tile will sit to the right of it, it also ends just before the electrical receptacle. This is a win-win, and it doesn't happen often. This is honestly the easiest way to protect your countertops or your customers' countertops. One of the big box stores, they sell contractor paper like this. Just tape it to the countertops, make sure everything's covered, and fold down the sides. It'll protect it so if something drops and runs off the edge, it don't drip and run down the countertop. You can fold the ends over just like you're wrapping a gift. Alright, so because of it being so humid and the oil of my skin and everything getting on these tiles, this pencil of mine that's designed to write on tiles will not write. So I had to put some tape on there. But you just set this in position of where it's going to be and mark lines around where the outlet is. It's pretty simple. You just sit it in place, find out where the outlet is, mark next to it, mark under it. You can connect your lines later. You just want to get a map of where everything fits. What I'm showing you here is that the teeth on this trowel are 1/8 of an inch deep. Now you can apply the mastic to the wall, and then you use those teeth to drag the mastic off, leaving grooves like cornfields or a garden on the wall. The reason you do this is because it makes it the right depth for this particular tile. It leaves the right amount of mastic on there so it doesn't squeeze out into your grout lines. If you use the wrong size tooth trowel, you end up with too much mastic, and then when you go to grout it, you got yourself an issue. I think it's worth mentioning this mastic does not have to be closed throughout the day. You can leave it open and work all day long with it, and it won't harden up on you. Don't close it until you're finished. Also worth mentioning, it doesn't matter if all the grooves from the trowel are going the same direction. They can go all different directions. What's important is that all the grooves are the same exact height and not more than the trowel. So you remember that big piece of mesh tile I had before? I cut the top couple layers off. And the reason I did that, it was easier to work around the outlet that way. You don't have to keep the mesh together. You can cut it however it makes it easier for yourself. You're the one installing the tile. With the bottom secured in place, now I'll put the top 2 layers on. Then I don't have to fight with the outlet being in the way and wiggling around and flopping around. Just so much easier this way. What I'm doing here is I'm just tearing off a piece of the backing, the mesh that was stuck on there and protruding past the tile. Make sure it lines up nice. Make sure the gaps are the same. You'll never know it was ever cut apart. Now you can put mastic 3 or 4 tile widths wide if you want. Even more if you're going to be able to put them up fast enough. I don't like to do that. I like to go no more than 2 tiles. And when I'm around an obstacle, like an outlet or a switch, I like to just cover that one area, and then I'll go further once I have nothing in my way. Notice what I did there. I used the smooth side of the trowel to drag across the top of the tile that's already installed and past it where I'm going to add the next tile, pulling all of the extra mastic off the wall and reclaiming it to use for the current tile I'm about to install. If you leave it up there, it will harden, it will be in your way, and it won't be easy to get rid of it later. You want professional results? Make sure when you're applying your mastic, you stay above the line you drew. Grab it from the line and drag up just like that. That will give you professional results with no squeeze out. Don't leave the mastic on your trowel. Scrape it off back into the bucket again, because the thinner the mastic, the quicker it hardens. Make sure if you're using the mesh tile that you push each individual tile into the mastic. Don't just lay the mat on the wall and assume it's okay. Make sure everything's making good contact and stick to your line. Make sure you're following that line so that your tiles are 100% level. This mastic will hold these tiles right where they need to be. They're very light. They don't weigh a whole lot. Now, if you had a very big profile tile or something that was very heavy, you might need to put a piece of wood on the wall and screw it in as a ledge to support them until they cure. These tiles, you can stick them to the wall all day long. Take note of what's going on right here. When I stepped back and looked at it, I noticed a couple tiles weren't really looking like they were level. Because it's still wet and nothing's cured yet, I can make those minor adjustments and tweak a couple tiles here or there to make everything fit properly. Don't be in a rush to just throw your tile on the wall. Step back and take a look at it. Make sure everything's right before it hardens. When you approach a corner, measure from the corner to the furthest point. Then, when you go to your tile, measure from left to right, from the furthest point into the center of the tile. That is where you will cut your vertical line so that it fits flush up against the corner. You should leave a little bit of a gap for grout and for caulking because things do expand and contract. Alright, so the counters are a little bit of a mess, but I wanted to give you a heads up as to what it looked like so far. We got the Schluter corners on here, so they're 45, so they don't show no ends. And that's how she looks right now. And I gotta do this side now, and probably here. No sense in making you watch me cut every single tile. You got the gist from the beginning of it, and I'll show you more at the end of the video. Everything has tile on it that's supposed to have it. Let's move on. So we're back here, it's 2 days later, and we're going to grout the tile. Now I realize the first portion of this video didn't show you a whole lot on how to measure and cut each individual piece around outlets and whatnot. So I have a few pieces of tile
that are left over from this project that I'm going to leave for the homeowner. Before I leave today, at the end of this video, I will go over a few tips and tricks on what you can do in order to map out your tiles and get them to work around obstacles such as outlets, maybe pieces of trim around a window, things of that nature. So we're going to get into that right after this.
Make sure you always start out with a very clean bucket. You don't want any dirt or debris left in it. Rinse it out thoroughly. Fill it up with cold water. You don't want to use warm water. Use cold water. Make sure you cover all the cabinets again with paper to protect them from the grout. From the grout. It's also a very good idea to put paper down here, so if something drips, you don't ruin the floor. We're going to be using Polyblend. This is a non-sanded grout for grout joints up to 1/8 of an inch. Anything over 1/8 of an inch, you need to use a sanded grout. This is white. White on white subway tile actually looks very, very rich. I think you'd be quite impressed when you see the final results. To mix this, you mix 3 pints to 1 whole bag. Let's get to it.
Make sure you got a clean bucket. See how this has dirt in it? We want to rinse that out. This stuff can get quite dusty. I like to open this in the bucket. Each time this is filled to the top, 2 cups equals 1 pint. So it's 6 cups of water. Now let's take this outside and mix it. And you want to use a Grout Float. All you do is reach in, get some on your float, and start pushing it in to all the grout lines. And water wants to be clean, so you want to change it often. Don't dump it down your sink drain. Wring out your sponge so there's no water in it. You want it to be just damp. I will tell you, the non-sanded grout is easier to clean than the sanded grout.
The things the sponge does, besides taking the grout that's across the tiles off, is it allows you to shape the grout. So there's a small space between the top of the tile and the underside of the microwave. That gap is more than 1/8 of an inch. So I use the sponge to smooth that out and make it look as flat as a tile. This way, if someone's kneeling on the floor and they look up at it, it has a finished look. The sponge has 2 wide sides and 4 narrow sides. It's the wide sides that you use generally to wipe the grout off. Typically, you'll notice as you're wiping the grout, a majority of it will be to one end of the sponge or the other. So it's almost like you have 4 sides when it comes to the larger side of the sponge. Once you get a little bit of grout collected on your sponge, move to a clean area of the sponge and continue going. When all of the sponge is full, that's when you need to rinse it. Don't try to clean tiles with a dirty sponge. Things that I forgot to mention is somewhere in this video, in the scene, or a scene, you're going to be able to find one of my business cards. It's a little bit of a game that I'm adding to my videos. Have you seen the business card? It's going to be in plain sight, but it's not going to be easy to see. I'm trying to hide it in plain sight. And it'll be visible in all of my videos going forward for at least a few minutes, so it's fair enough for you to hopefully be able to find it. And if you know where it is, tell me in the comments. Maybe at some point this will yield rewards or gifts or something for finding it. Right now it's just going to be for fun, but we'll see where this goes.
Alright, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take up all the paper, and if you see anything on the countertop or on the wall where it don't belong, you're going to use your wet sponge and you're going to clean it right away. Now it's time to do the silicone. Make sure you rip your tape so the top left corner sticks out further than the bottom. You don't have to work with big pieces. You can take little pieces like this. Get it down so that goes right into the corner. You want to leave a gap for the silicone. I'll show you a close-up. Alright, let's go in close and look. You see how there's a gap behind there? That's what you want. Take your time, put enough on there. Smear it with your finger, and then wipe your finger off on a rag or a piece of paper or something. Easy to start from the corner. Take your time, put enough on so you don't have to go backtrack. Go slow. Tip of your caulking tube should be cut at about a 40-degree angle, give or take. 45 is probably a little too much. Drag it when you let go of it, and it won't leave strings. Don't run your finger on it yet. Do this side first. If you do need to add more, go right back and do it, but try not to. I put double tape at the end. I call it a landing pad. See what happens at the end of a run? That prevents it from getting on anything. Now, run your finger towards the corner away from the corner. Wipe your fingers off. Run your fingers towards the corner and then away from the corner. Wipe your fingers off. The reason you don't do your finger there and then caulk this is so in case the corner gets messed up, you can go right around it with your finger. That looks wonderful. Do over here, same situation. Again, you want to go slow. Squeeze the trigger slowly, move along slowly. Don't be in a rush for this. You should be using 100% silicone. Stuff I'm using here is good for exterior or interior. The blue. Oh, that went right under the tape. You see that? Clean it off right away. This is blue GE silicone. Interior or exterior. So as I was telling you, there's a business card hidden in this video. The business card is actually in the scene. So you should be able to see it while you're watching the video. Not every scene, but some scenes. I'm not going to tell you where it is. Take away the fun of the game. Alright. This ought to be fun. Want to make sure the power's off while you're doing this, or you might not like yourself too much. Alright, so these are number 6 by 32. These are 2-inch ones. I don't really want 2-inch, but it's all I got on me that I have in the truck. But 6 by 32 is the screw that you need to fit through here and into that box. Now 2 inches will fit in the box. It is okay. I would have rathered something closer to 1 inch. Well, I unhid the business card. It's no longer hidden and no longer able to be seen. So it's one of the scenes before this point where you could see the business card. If you found it, by all means, leave a comment and give me a hint, like a number, or I guess you can even put the location if you want to. I just didn't want to give it away to other people. If you want to try to play the game and find it, don't look at the comments, I guess. It is in there. It's visible at least 2 or 3 different frames. Like I said, it's not easy to see. I didn't put it right out in the open. It's hidden, but definitely visible. I'll show you what it looks like. Looks like that right there. That's the business card. So, if you found it, great. If you didn't, you might want to go back and look. Or maybe you don't care. Either way, just a little game to play. Something different. All of these videos are just all about home improvement. They should be a little fun too.